Welcome to your series about Christmas. I'm going to share a few of the events that happened around the birth of Jesus, seen through the lenses of Mary and Joseph. I've heard the story of Christmas a lot of times, but seeing the story through the lenses of how Joseph and Mary might have seen and experienced it at the time really made the story come alive to me in a new way. If you have not heard it a lot of times, this might be a great way for you to really figure out why Christmas is such an important event in the church. So welcome, take a seat, and maybe bring a block if you have one. Find that seat that is comfortable for you. Maybe you sit on a chair. We're going to breathe a little bit, so just close your eyes. I will share the story that leads up to the birth of Jesus, just the story of it, and then a part of it, and then I'll get more into it as we go to the last part where we stretch and do the meditation. First, connect with your breath. Sigh out if you need to. Inhale and exhale through your nose if you can. Relax your face and your shoulders, thighs and knees. So the story goes that Mary, Jesus' mom, becomes pregnant. And that's another story how that happens, but she becomes pregnant. She might have been like 14, 15, 16 years old, very young, because that was when they got married by that time. She became pregnant without having intercourse with a man and her fiancé Joseph. Joseph learns about Mary being pregnant, and he wants to do what's right with her and save her honor. And as he's planning to do this, an angel shows up in his dreams and tells him that this is legit. Mary is pregnant, and Joseph is supposed to be the father figure of this Messiah, Jesus. They probably got married. And if this was not enough with this odd situation, as Mary is getting close to her due date, they are called to Bethlehem because the ruler Caesar of that time wanted to count everybody. So they had to travel quite a distance to another city where Joseph was from. So Mary, being really pregnant, traveling all that way to a city of chaos. We learn in the story that there's no place for them to stay. There's no hostel, there's no hotel, nothing. So somehow they find a barn. Joseph must not have had any relatives in the city, even though he was from there. And in this barn, where animals were living, feeding, baby Jesus was born. And this is how the story goes. Maybe just picturing Mary being pregnant, this young girl, maybe having dreams about having a romantic relationship with her husband, living this stable, calm, secure life in her home city. A plan very interrupted by an angel and by her pregnancy. The angel God intervenes also in Joseph's lives. his plans might also have been very, very different. But they listen to God and they obey. That speaks to their faith and their trust in God. Move a little bit and then I'll come back to the story. Most of us modern day people, when we read the Bible, we can find some of the things that happened very, very odd, and we can't really relate because we live in a completely different culture, an individualized culture where we're taught that we have to do everything by ourselves. But back then they were much more family oriented, much more into relationships and being disconnected, into doing a duty and all of that. So just know that sometimes the stories need to be opened, like I hope I will do, because it's a different culture. I hope you just copy paste me here as I slowly make my way around tabletop maybe, or down dog. Moving your legs, moving your hip up and back, making your ears and arms somewhat aligned. And let's move into plank. Soften the knees, drop the knees down on the mat and come up on your knees. Bring your arms out into cactus hands, leaning slightly back, not a whole lot. Then stretch your arms out. Sit your hip down towards your heels. Bring your arms forward for a bit of a child's pose stretch on the arms. Moving forward into plank again on your knees. Tuck the toes, downward facing dog, and just adjust however you need. Repeating that with the breath if it makes sense to you. Inhale, come into your plank. Exhale, bring your knees down. Take the hands off the mat. Inhale, reach the arms out to the side. Exhale, cactus arms, move your shoulders back, open up your chest. Inhale, lengthen and move your arms to the front. Set your hip back, exhale, child's pose. Inhale, move into your plank, maybe on your knees. Exhale, downward facing dog. Just warming up before I do a longer sequence. Last time, inhale, plank. Exhale, knees down, come up on your knees. Inhale, arms out to the side. Cactus arms, exhale. Arms to the front, hip back, inhale. And exhale, child's pose. Plank, inhale. Down dog, exhale. Then walk your feet to the top end of the mat. Fold forward. Slowly coming into mountain pose. Engage your core as you stand out. You stay put at the top of the mat. Gonna do a few side bends. Lift your left arm up overhead, move to your right side. Switching, inhale. Keeping a little bit of engagement in the core, exhale to the other side. Move and breathe. One of those cultural differences that we can see is the fact that Mary gets married and gets pregnant probably so young. It's very odd for us in the Western culture, but that was how it was. Now standing in mountain pose, catch your breath, grounding yourself. maybe a prayer of openness towards the story of the Christmas time. And then I'll do our sequence. Sit down in your chair, bring your arms here to the front, and you can go as low as you like. Rising up, bring your arms back, open up your chest, kind of drop the hands back. Bring the palms together, standing up tall. Lift up right knee and see if you can balance, and bring right knee and elbows kind of in like a standing crunch. Bring your hands in prayer pose. Slowly take the right leg back into a variation of Warrior 3. Stretching both legs, toes pointing down. Keep breathing. Bring your fingers down, land the right leg at the back end of the mat, turn the foot, Warrior 2. Making sure the front knee is stacked over the ankle, bring the arms out. Take a deep breath. Then you can either just hold the arms here or grasp the hands at the back, whatever you like to do. And then slowly lean back, stretch the front leg and move your hands towards the front leg there. Squeeze the shoulder blades back. Kind of a peaceful warrior, again, variation. Moving the other way, and you might release your hands and bring your hands up overhead like this. If you have back issues, you might support in triangle with your hand here on the thigh. Slowly bend the front knee again. So get into Warrior 2 posture. Keep your hands overhead. Lean forward. Keep your shoulders aligned with the short end of the mat and don't go too low. If this is not doable for your back knee, just pop the heel off. Bring your hands down and then take your heel off. We're going to twist navel towards the inner thigh. Your left hand reaches up. This is where you might want to use your block if the floor is far away. Moving your hip back, extend the arm there back like you want to reach the back foot, but keep it aligned with the floor. Take the arm overhead, down on the floor, high lunge. Maybe you move the block away. Breathe. Leaning forward, finishing our little sequence here with a half moon with a twist. So right leg comes up, right leg up, left arm up. This is the twist. As it is Christmas, I almost feel like I want to call it the star. And release. Make sure your feet gets there at the top end of the mat. You want to shake things out. And let's repeat. Chair pose. I'm not following the breath, so just breathe as best as you can. Rising up. Leaning back, maybe tucking the chin towards the chest. Prayer pose with your hands, standing up tall, lift left leg up, and kind of hug into this crunch variation. Warrior 3, keeping your hands here in prayer pose, or if you feel like it, take your arms out for airplane, a little bit easier for the balance. If you feel safe enough, no need to land the hands down there. You can always just go ahead and land the left foot back there. Warrior 2, get into the distance between your feet that you like. Front heel to back arch or back heel alignment. Relax the elbows here. Grasp the hands behind you. Kind of roll the shoulder blades back. Extend the front leg and lean back. Not inside the leg, but towards the back foot there. So everything in your body is in one line. Moving the other way. Again, might support with your hand on the thigh in triangle. I'll bring the arms up overhead. Navel in for a strong core. Then bend the front knee and rotate just a tad here. We might shorten the distance. We're still trying to stay in your warrior two with the legs at least. And then bring both hands down. You might want to use the block. This time for your left hand. Get the heel off. It's so much nicer when we twist. Your right hand up. Extend the front leg. Reach the top arm there back. Align it with the floor. Extend both legs. Back heel is low or heavy. It doesn't have to reach the floor. Coming back into a high lunge. So maybe move the block. Breathe. Bring your hands down on the floor. Left leg comes up. This half moon with the twist. Left leg, right hand up. And you might want to use your block again for the hand on the floor. In this variation of half moon, the toes are pointing down on the extended leg. Release. Drop your feet down. Take a pause here. Forward fold. Mountain pose. I'll repeat the sequence, but just pausing here. If you feel like moving, you can do a vinyasa or something else. Like Joseph and Mary, we're not going through enough just figuring out how to handle a pregnancy with the Son of God. And all their dreams and all the things that they do not know how to control or what to think about. Then they have to make this travel to Bethlehem. If it was me, I would be like, God, this cannot be true. How can you do this? Isn't it enough? I've been pregnant, maybe you have too. And if you're really close to the due date, traveling is not what you really love. But off you go. They went. Hopefully, they were thinking about getting a nice place to just rest, like a hotel and, nice sleep when they got there. But yet another stumbling block. Everything is chaotic because everybody is traveling. A lot of people are traveling to Bethlehem. They have no place to stay. And maybe Mary is in labor by now. We don't know. Out they go, out into the fields, to this barn, a stable. And there, maybe all by herself, Mary gives birth to Jesus. Maybe without any help, her firstborn child. God, where are you? I would have asked. Chair pose again. Rising up. Go for the back bend with your arms. Palms together. Strong core as you lift your right knee up. Take the elbows down around this right knee. And just lift high if you really want to get warm. Warrior 3. Take the leg back, toes pointing down. Engage the shoulders. And again, if you feel sure and stable, you don't need to get your hands down. We're going to do warrior 2. So turn the back foot, align it with the short end of the mat. Bend the front knee. Grasp the hands behind you. Extend the front leg. Squeeze the shoulder blades as you lean back. Okay, the core engaged as well. Triangle supported or with your arms up overhead. Bending the front leg, keeping the feet where they are, but leaning slightly forward. Back heel off as you twist in this lunge variation with or without a block. Your left hand crosses or moves up towards the sky. Extend the front leg, bring the arm back. And then high lunge. Just get yourself as well organized as you can. Sink down, shoulders away from the ears. Half moon, slowly move to the front. Your right leg comes up, that half moon with a twist. Right leg, left arm. Keep lifting and elongating. Aligning your arms if possible. And then slowly find a forward fold at the top of your mat. Maybe sigh out. Chair pose. Mountain. I kind of want to call this waterfall pose. Leaning back. Palms together. Left knee up. Crunching forward. Warrior 3 variation. The left leg keeps moving back. Breathe. Warrior 2. Slowly descend down with the back foot and get into the posture. Wider distance between the feet if you want to get nice and warm. Grasp the hands behind you, extend the front leg, keep everything aligned with the heels as you lean back. Shoulders squeeze together. Triangle. Remember your support with the hand. Bending the front leg, kind of twisting, doing a rotation in your spine. Stacking knee over ankle again, kind of hard. Stretching all the side body here. Hands down, back heel off. Be mindful of the back knee with or without block. Your right hand moves up. Extend the back leg so it's not just sacking down there. Then extend the front leg as well to some degree. Bring the arm back. The top arm, shoulder again, squeezed back. And then high lunge, fingers down. See if you can get yourself up into high lunge. Half moon with the twist. This time your left leg is gonna be elevated, toes pointing down, right hand up. Downward facing dog. So bring yourself back and down, sigh out. If you feel like going into a plank and do a vinyasa with those plank to low plank, you can do that on toes or knees. Cobra or up dog. And then find child's pose. What if you were Joseph at this time? Probably a man that wanted to protect, because that was the man's duty, to protect and make sure that the family was safe. How desperate and out of control and helpless he must have felt, seeing his beloved wife going into labor, and just, it's the first time for him as well. Puppy pose. If you don't have a block, you just use your hands on the floor and kind of drop down. You see, I'm on my knees now. I'm not in child's pose. I'm kind of lifted more higher up. You can also bring your block maybe on the second height. I love it on the highest height. I did not to begin with, but kind of like a hanging bridge here. It's a quite intense stretch for the back of the arms, shoulders. I'm not holding up. I'm just kind of letting gravity give me the stretch in my arms, shoulders. Out of it, tabletop. Shaking things out. Pigeon pose. Bring your right knee to the front. If you have any knee issues, just wait a minute. I'll show you another variation that is more gentle to the knees. So just don't move into this one. But if you have your right knee there, bend it. You might point the toes so there's more room for the knee. If you have the shin aligned with the short end of the mat, you're pretty flexible in your hips. Coming down on your elbows or not on your block. For knees, delicate knees, you might come down here, reversed pigeon or figure four. In the Jewish tradition, Messiah, this baby that Mary was told she was carrying, it was prophesied to be a ruler and a king, and that's why the wise men also went to the castle, so to say, the rulers, because they thought he was a king. And just picture how confused Joseph and Mary must have been. They were supposed to give birth to a king, a ruler, a deliverer from the Hebrew people. And then the events turned out the way they did? How in the whole world does that make sense? Come up on your hands. If you're on your back, you can just switch legs. I really love down dog for pigeon pose. Shake things out and go for the other side. And a lot of books and stories, images of the birth of Jesus, I think it's often very romanticized what it all looks like, right? Nice and clean, and sometimes they have like a halo, and Mary and Joseph looks very happy and pleased. And I just think of the contrast. Hopefully they were happy. I mean, they most likely were. The baby came out healthy, and they survived, and everything went okay. So they must have been pleased. But still, the real story is so much more relatable, dirty, grounded. If you really love your down dog, you can do that one again. We're going to take a seat, so you can also just roll out on the one hip and take a seat. You can sit on your block if you like. Going into the arms. So take your right arm or elbow up, and maybe just take the hand and pull it down, the elbow down there. Or if you want the binding, the other arm behind, maybe the fingers can reach each other. Or you might hold onto your shirt or a strap if you have that nearby. Sit tall. Make sure you don't use your neck or your shoulders as such to lift. Trying just to hold without using a lot of muscle tension. Release. Other side. During these events that happened, was God just occupied with other things? Sleeping or just not paying attention? If you look at other stories in the Bible, this is not what God does or do at any point. So he must have kind of chosen this way. And why do you think God made all this happen? Now, this is just a part of the story. Much more is happening. But why? This is what Joseph and Mary experienced. Why did God allow them to go through this, do you think? Release. You can come down on the mat for rest, I will stay seated, but come down into your resting pose. Toes dropping out. If you use your block, you might have it as a pillow on the lower height. I will share my last thoughts and make sure you have a little bit of quiet time, and then I'll finish the video. So hopefully you're down with any blanket or anything you need to cover up so you don't get cold. Close your eyes and soften everything. You can again sigh out if that feels good. So why? I really can't tell you why. I have ideas, but I don't know for sure. But what I can learn from this story and from looking at this through the lenses of Joseph and Mary is that even though things happen that I do not understand, God is still in control. God's plan is still unfolding. I think it speaks to me and maybe to you as well, that we love to have things planned and controlled, visions, ideas. And then when things don't go as we hoped for and planned, we get anxious, worried. And God knows this. But maybe there's something He needs us to learn. And Mary and Joseph were reassured by the events of the shepherds and the wise men that I'll share in other videos, that this was indeed the child of God. But a different child, not a ruler of the Hebrew people, but the ruler of heaven and earth. Someone so much greater than they could ever have imagined. What does this story and these events mean to you? I will finish this video. If you're on your mat and you're ready to move, you start slowly by wiggling your hands and feet and stuff, and then maybe take a minute before you come into a seat. If you're curious to know more about this Christmas story, you can't wait until the next video. You can read in Luke. It's a New Testament. It's Luke 2, and then around there, if you want to just read and see what you make come out of it, or what it means to you to actually read the story as it is written down. From my heart to yours, thank you so much for participating. I hope that the story came alive. Next week, I'll share with you the story of the shepherds and how that must have been for Mary and Joseph.